way this is going to work is we're going to ask them questions. So they're experts in many different areas, and you're going to find out what they are as they answer these questions. So I'm going to ask them a few questions as it pertains to something that's really important for life, the immune system. Okay? Does that sound good? Yeah? Do you want to learn more about the immune system? Okay, awesome. All right. So, my first question comes to Dr. Ty Hopkins. He is an exercise science professor and a department chair at Brigham Young University. So, Ty, can you please tell us how movement, how exercise plays into our immune system function and our health?
First of all, thanks. That's a fantastic question. Thanks, Dr. Vollmer. There's one thing you need to know about me. I love to exercise. Don't you? Yeah, I love it. Well, there's lots of reasons I love to exercise, and there's one I want to talk to you about today, and that is how exercise affects the immune system. If we're talking about exercise, we're just here talking about 150 minutes per week, so less than 3 hours per week of moderate intensity exercise does the following. First, we can reduce all-cause mortality by 30 to 35%. That's a big number and a big deal. Second, specifically, exercise helps a few things specific to the immune system. Number one, it helps circulation. So in other words, exercise is going to increase blood flow. And with that increased blood flow, we're going to have an increase in recirculation of many of these immune cells that play a really big role in immune function. Cells like immunoglobulins, cells like natural killer cells, cytotoxic T-cells, So these cells not only are recirculated, but they also we have an increase in proliferation of some of these cells. And so this increase in production of some of these cells makes for a really strong immune system. And if we do this over time, the immune system does a really good job of helping to identify problems that are in the body and then fighting those problems. Now there's one other thing that I want to mention here. It's a big word called immunosenescence. And this is a word that really just means that the immune system ages, just like everything else does, and it becomes less efficient over time and does its job less effectively. Well, there's good news. Exercise does a fantastic job of delaying this immunosenescence. And in fact, it helps the immune system stay healthier for a longer period of time. So if we combine exercise with all of these other healthy lifestyle factors, which you'll hear from many others here on this board, we end up with a fantastic opportunity to enhance our life.
Wow. Thanks, Ty. And you're going to talk a little bit later in more detail about this concept of immunosenescence, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, Dr. Sue Caldera, you are a PhD, MD, that's pretty impressive, specializing in nutrition. So what we put in our body in many ways is directly linked to our immune system. So certain things feed our immune system in a good way and other things in a bad way. So can you elaborate on what all of that means?
It's quite a challenge, but I will try. As you know, there are many vitamins and minerals and so on. So what I could summarize in 4 minutes is what I'm going to try to do. First of all, the same nutrients that we need for our body to be healthy are the same nutrients that we will need for our immune system to function properly. And there are some micronutrients, nutrients that we need in very small amounts, like vitamins and minerals. And there are macronutrients, nutrients that we need in larger amounts, like amino acids, proteins, some fats, including cholesterol, that are also necessary. Now, these all work together in different combinations to be able to help regulate the immune system. And in some cases, as Dr. Tai was saying, there's some inflammatory processes. But a properly functioning immune system needs a balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes. Now, some vitamins favor inflammation because depending on what the circumstances, other nutrients favor anti-inflammation. So the body really knows how to create this balance. I could list all of the vitamins in alphabetical order, but as you know, there are many. So I'm just going to summarize some. For example, vitamin A, many of us think of it as what we need for our eyes, but we don't realize that vitamin A plays a very important role with natural killer cells, and I know all of you know what that word means, those cells do. But also, it plays a very important role in controlling macrophages. Macrophages are the little Pac-Man that are going around capturing germs and encapsulating them. Also, the B vitamins. There are many vitamins, and actually B1, B2, B3, B9, and B12 specifically are very involved in the immune system, and they play different roles as cofactors in enzymes. Now, vitamin C, we all know that helps us to prevent colds, and that's one way of looking at it. But also, vitamin C has a very important role in regulating the numbers of natural killer cells. Now, vitamin D, we know in its role in bone, but many of you don't know that it also plays a very important role in the immune system related to the lungs. So if you want to prevent a lot of respiratory infections, it also plays an important role there. And vitamin E combined with vitamin C also have augmented effects. Now, there are other minerals, and I'm just going to mention a few, like selenium, iron, copper, and we can't forget zinc. These all play important roles as cofactors in different enzymes and other regulatory molecules, some of which Dr. Tai mentioned. And there's some amino acids, such as arginine and tryptophan, that not only are they important in protein synthesis, but also arginine is known to help calm the immune system in the intestines. So, they have many different functions throughout the body, and we can't forget the fats, including cholesterol. They all play very important regulatory, anti-inflammatory processes along with the polyunsaturated fatty acids. So altogether, these nutrients are essential from birth to the late aging stages. So we need to consume all our nutrients completely to be able to.
And these nutrients we get through our diet, right? So if we eat right, we get the nutrients we need to strengthen our bodies and support our immune system.
Absolutely. And of course, if we need to supplement, all the 4Life products support that. Thank you.
Of course, yep. Great, thank you, Dr. Caldera. So the next question is to Dr. Tomaska. You also are an MD. You have specialized in women's health for over 2 decades. Now, 4Life has done a lot of research on sleep and the immune system, which is why we've incorporated transfer factor into our sleep support product, Sleep Right. Would you talk to us a little bit about the connection between the immune system and sleep?
Of course, David. Even though we have only a short amount of time, I will try to prove that there is a very strong connection. We tend to think that the prolonged amount of time and existence of many very strong factors are needed in order to damage our immune system. And even among individuals consuming dietary supplements for the immune system, there is a common belief that, for example, it's enough to take a supplement for a month to create a very strong and long-lasting immunity. But when the lack of sleep is involved, it's absolutely not the case. The immune functions will go down very fast. How fast? Science proves that 1 night makes a difference. I remind you of the recommendation, minimum 7 hours of sleep. How about if we bend it a little? Slightly for 1 night, a little bit less than 7 hours. Immediately we'll see around 30% down when it comes to activity of natural killer cells. How about if we are at the convention and we bend it even more? For 1 night, only 4 hours of sleep. What happens? Natural killer cells function goes down by 70% or more. Together, with increased inflammatory response. So we will wake up the next morning, some of us will feel it in joints, the other will create cardiovascular problems, and all of us will create the first unwanted changes in our metabolism. That's the consequence. There is a very strong link between sleep problems and autoimmune response. And another example, a group of people getting influenza vaccine. They slept only 4 hours for the first 6 nights. Then they got better and slept 12 hours for the next 7 nights. What was the result? How effective was the vaccine? 50% less in creation of antibodies as a consequence of 1 week with big sleep deficiency. But let's end up on a high positive notes. Among those standing around common cold virus, individuals sleeping at least 7 hours or more had a 4.5 times greater chance to totally escape the illness comparing to those who slept for 5 hours or less. Is there a connection between immunity and sleep? There is. It's very strong, but remember that it's very dynamic. And let's take a deeper look at it, every single one of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. So now let's turn to Professor Dr. Elena Inatuia. You're from Utah, University of Utah. You study immunopharmacology, which is a fancy term for understanding how supplements impact our immune system. Now I'm going to transition and say there is something that we have as a physical age, and we also have our immune age. And studies show that we are only as healthy as our immune system. So how does a healthy immune system contribute to a longer and more fulfilling life, and what can we do to support it?
David, thank you very much for this question. What is interesting is that our chronological age and our immune age go together. And there is a correlation between chronological age and immune age in healthy individuals. If we are talking about stages of immune system development, you can just see the immune system of very young children, then immune system of those who are adult, immune system of elderly people, and very unique group of people and the very unique immune system who over 100 years of age. Young children under 5 years old, they still meet the new immune threats, and therefore their immune system is still developing. Adult people have mostly developed and mostly functional immune system, and therefore they can handle very well immune threats. When we age, unfortunately, our immune functions go down, and we are not always able to handle immune threats very well. And this unique group who are older than 100 years old, they have also unique immune system. And this immune system almost immediately taking care of any infection that they have. And what is interesting, physicians or doctors recently developed a scoring system that can estimate how we will be able to withstand some immune threats, as well as whether or not our immune system can overreact to some immune threats. And it's called immune age scoring system. In this particular case, it estimates our immune health during different period of time when we live. The best score or lowest score, usually mature adult or adult people have between maybe 35 or 45 years of age, and those people have lowest score. But if they were injured or had some disease, the score might go up, And fortunately to us, what we have is that we can improve this score. We can change it. And immune scores or immune age scores, as well as our longevity, depends upon balanced immune system. How we can just balance our immune system. First of all, you already have heard that physical exercise, healthy lifestyle can help this. Also, good nutrition or good healthy diet can help. You need to include in your diet vegetables, berries, fruits, and of course fish. But also, you have to remember about for life products like transfer factors. Recently published study from For Life just showed that transfer factor classic, transfer factor plus, and transfer factor trifactor can really balance your immune system and help withstand any immune threats. Therefore, healthy lifestyle, good diet, and taking care of your immune system can prolong your life.
Wow, thanks, Dr. Elena. So, Dr. Keach, welcome to For Life Health Science Advisory Board. As I mentioned earlier, you are the world's foremost expert on colostrum. Of course, colostrum is a key component to For Life transfer factor products, and for good reason. Hopefully everyone knows what it is, but would you please provide a brief definition of colostrum and explain why it's considered nature's original superfood?
Thanks, David. Thanks for letting me be here. Well, colostrum is wonderful because it contains transfer factor.
That's right, yeah.
We wouldn't be here if we didn't have transfer factor, right? So colostrum is the first food that we get when we're born. So it's really important, and it's the only immune product that is produced by mammals for mammals. You can go out there and buy any other immune product, but if it's not made for humans by humans, it's not made for us, then why take it? It's natural, it's well tolerated in the body. It's the world's most perfect food. It's a wonderful product. It's full of all sorts of vitamins and minerals that Dr. Mei Ling was talking about. But in addition to that, it contains all sorts of other stuff that we need for our gut, because 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So we want to keep that healthy, right? And our gut is basically a skin. It's still technically outside of the body. So if we have holes in our gut, or we have scar tissue in our gut, it's like having it on our skin. We get infections, right? So we need to repair it. And what does colostrum do? Colostrum contains things like growth factors, which help repair those holes in the gut, in the small intestine, and prevent those macronutrients from entering our body. And by doing that, we actually are not subjected to large macromolecules that create allergens in our body. So it's really important to make sure that our gut is intact. Because in our gut, if you look at it, if you lay out a 17 feet of small intestine, it's about 10 square feet. But if you really look at it through the microvilli and villi that's in there under a microscope, it contains a tennis court of area, of absorptive area, that we're supposed to absorb our foods. Now, it's very important to take transfer factor and colostrum to help heal the gut. And colostrum contains these growth factors, but it also contains immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins are good because it helps establish the normal, natural microbiome in the body. Too many of us have high levels of bad bacteria and low levels of good bacteria. Well, transfer factor and colostrum switch that. So we have 80% good bacteria, 20% bad. So immunoglobulins are a very important part of the transfer factor product. And also, it contains things like oligosaccharides, which are prebiotics that the good bacteria need to survive. They need to eat something, right? They need prebiotics. So we have oligosaccharides that are in there. But what's most important to us in the immune system with transfer factor is because transfer factor is a very small molecule. And it's got these other wonderful immune properties, wonderful small molecules that are in there. We counted like 1,900 different types of peptides and ribonucleides and all sorts of different compounds in the transfer factor product. And each of those 1,900 things have its own specific function in the body. But in terms of the immune system, these transfer factors help reset, rebalance, reestablish normal immunity in the body. It's like, when you have a computer problem, right? The best thing you do to fix it is just turn the computer off and then turn it back on again, right? You fix 90% of your problems. Well, that's what these peptides do, is they reset your immune system. When you're a baby and you're born, you start your immune system. But as we get older, through all these immune challenges, we need to reset, and restart our immune system. We do that by continually taking transfer factor. And we need that because we need to teach our body how to have an immune balance. We don't want to boost our immune system or suppress it. We want our immune system to be in balance. And that's what transfer factor does. And that's what these other peptides do. So only 4Life has this proprietary patented product. No other company has this transfer factor and these peptides that are in there. And it's for your models and for your consumers and your business model to survive. And it's just really good. And I wouldn't be doing colostrum if it wasn't, if it wasn't the best thing to do. When I grew up on a dairy farm in New Zealand, milking cows and feeding calves colostrum, right? And I knew this yellow stuff that was called colostrum is different than milk. And then I took that further, and I actually met David Lisenby back in 1997, and we talked about, he introduced me to transfer factor because I didn't know. And then 25 years later, here we are, and we have such a great product, and it's great to be part of the 4Life family, and it's the Immune Company. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. It's a great way to think about how transfer factor can reset your immune system, right? We all need our immune systems reset. Okay, Dr. Yang, you're another one of our newest members of our HSAB. You're a professor of the Department of Nutrition at Sun Yat-sen University in China. Amongst your many areas of expertise is metabolism. So my question's simple. How does our metabolism impact our immune system?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vollmer, for your good question. So as we know that metabolism is the basis for life and also for the living of our cells, including all the immune cells, such as the T-cell, B-cell, NK cell, macrophages, etc. So I will take one simple example, such as T cells, how the metabolism work in the T cell. So in T cells, one major energy source is glucose. So you know glucose, right? So glucose metabolism, we can say they have two modes. One mode is glycolysis. The other mode is oxidative phosphorylation. So when the metabolism in a T cell switch from mode 1 to mode 2, it will switch the differentiation and switch the function of the T cells. So we all know that T cells are the killer cells. So their major function is to kill, such as tumor cells, all the virus-infected cells, etc. So when the switch mode of the metabolism, T cell function change. So when the glycolysis is there, the T cell is the effector T cells, so they have very strong killing function. However, when glycolysis or oxophosphorylation are inhibited, so the T cells will switch to the exhaustion mode. So it means that they lost their function to kill all the tumor cells or other infected cells. So this shows that the metabolism is the basis for the function or the normal function of the T cells. As has mentioned by others, that such as the regular living style and for the diet, regular diet, such as the supplement by the vitamins or some minerals can boost the metabolism and also boost the immune system, which you can find from the 4Life product.
Wow, thanks, Dr. Yang. Okay, so let's wrap it up with another one of our newest members to our Health Science Advisory Board, M. Capito. M, you are a mental health therapist with a focus on resilience. In today's fast-paced world, I think we all understand the importance of mental health. Do we not? Is mental health important? Yes, of course it is. And you have helped us here at 4Life recognize that there's a connection between mental health and the immune system. So help our audience members understand how our mental health affects our immune health.
Thank you, David, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I think we can all attest to observing changes in our mood, energy, focus, appetite, sleep, and so much more when we're feeling emotionally imbalanced, right? The modern field of psychoneuroimmunology was created 50 years ago to study just that link, leading to a much more clear understanding of the impact of how we think and how we feel on our bodies, especially on our immune system, and the long-term implications for our health. Now, that's a really broad body of research, but let's simplify and talk about a familiar concept of stress. So stress is simply how our minds and bodies respond to pressure or tension, and we all experience stress every single day. Our nervous systems are responding to the levels of stress we are experiencing in order to help us fight off infection or complete big goals or even to rest and digest at night. Now, some stress, like exercise or learning new things, speaking in front of a lot of people, are generally beneficial. Stretching our minds and bodies just outside of our comfort zones boost our overall health and well-being. For example, when we experience stress, like all of us on stage, our bodies release a hormone we're all familiar with called cortisol. And in short bursts, cortisol can decrease inflammation and bolster our immune response as a protective mechanism. However, when we experience overwhelming stress over long periods of time, those cortisol levels can become persistently elevated, leading to a cascade of effects, including increased inflammation and a suppressed immune response. I like to think that we are all pretty aware of our health in this room, and yet we're also pretty ambitious people in this room, I think. And yes, very ambitious, right? I think it's easy for us in our modern culture with all of our dreams and purpose that we can expect a bit too much of ourselves, leading to chronic states of overwhelming stress, which is why it's important to prioritize our emotional well-being every day so that we can move our bodies out of a state of threat and into a state of rest and healing regularly. So how do we do that? Well, exercise for one, which many of our panelists have talked about, really good sleep, proper nutrition, sometimes supplementation where we aren't getting it in our food, and also investing in our relationships are all correlated with improved emotional well-being. We simply feel happier, healthier, and more alive when we are well-rested, well-nourished, and deeply connected to the people and purposes that matter the most to us. So, bottom line, David, emotional well-being is foundational to physical well-being, and immunity is one important measure of the relationship between mind and body.
Wow. Is that not incredible? Well, I just want to say thank you all for being here. It is so cool to see nearly all of our HSAB members in one place. It really puts into perspective how seriously we take our research at 4Life and how well-rounded that research is. Now, today we're going to be discussing some things that relate to our various fields of study, along with how we affect our main focus here at 4Life. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you.